This is the story of a woman who built an empire from nothing, only to face a betrayal that could have broken her. I'm Victoria Bennett, and this is my journey, a tale of grit, heartbreak, and triumph. You're watching I Built My Company to $50 million, then Dad smiled, your brother is the new CEO. So I left with all. On a channel dedicated to revenge stories, where pain becomes power. Phoenix Innovations logo, a blazing digital flame, marks the start. Get ready for a story that proves no one can steal your worth. Stay with me. I was 34 when I stood at the edge of everything I'd built, staring into a betrayal that cut deeper than I could have imagined. Secure Sync, my tech company, was worth $50 million. A monument to years of sleepless nights, relentless innovation, and a vision no one else believed in. I started with nothing but an idea and raw determination, coding in a cramped apartment, convincing skeptics to take a chance on me. It wasn't just a business. It was my soul poured into every line of code, every client won, every patent filed. I proved the doubters wrong, turned rejection into revenue, and built a team that felt like family. But then, at a polished steakhouse table, my world tilted. My father, William Bennett, raised his glass with that familiar, calculated smile. To Secure Sync's future, he said, and to your brother Nathan, our new CEO. My brother, who'd contributed nothing but charm and excuses, was handed my life's work. My own father, the man who taught me business is ruthless, orchestrated a coup with the board behind my back. The room spun as their words sank in. My role reduced, my vision sidelined, all for a man who'd never earned it. They thought they'd won, that family ties would keep me quiet. They didn't know me at all. What they never expected was this. I walked away, but I took everything that mattered. My patents, my team, my clients. This isn't just a story of loss. It's about what happens when you refuse to let betrayal define you. I turned their scheme into my greatest triumph. Here's how it happened. Let's go back to where it all began. Bellevue, Seattle, a neighborhood of manicured lawns and unspoken expectations. I was 16, hunched over a desk littered with circuit boards and wires, building my first computer from scraps. The hum of the machine felt like freedom, like a world where my ideas could matter. But my father, William Bennett, a real estate titan, barely noticed. Interesting hobby, Vicky, he muttered, passing my door. That same night, he spent dinner praising my brother Nathan's mediocre baseball game. He's got leadership potential, Dad said, eyes gleaming. My straight A's. That's nice, Vicky. My mother, Margaret, once a brilliant accountant, had traded her dreams for a role as the perfect corporate wife, nodding along. Nathan, 2 years younger, could do no wrong in Dad's eyes. His participation trophies outshone my science fair wins. By 17, I was coding programs, dreaming of MIT, but Dad scoffed. Too expensive, he said, while Nathan's Boston College tuition magically appeared. I pieced together scholarships, driven by a fire to prove myself. At MIT, I found my tribe, people who saw systems the way I did, who valued innovation over gender or charm. My roommate, Allison, stayed up late with me, dissecting market gaps, whispering, "You don't just see systems, Vicky, you make them better." I graduated summa cum laude, dual degrees in computer science and business, while Nathan scraped through college with Dad's connections. At my graduation dinner, Dad toasted, "To Vicky, always studious," then turned to Nathan's new job at a firm he'd secured through golf buddies. "Vice president at 24, Dad beamed. "That's real promise." I learned early. In the Bennett household, my achievements came with an asterisk. But that didn't stop me, fueled me. Every dismissal, every "that's nice," pushed me to build something undeniable. Secure Sync was my answer, a company that would force the world and my father to see me. Or so I thought. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from those you trust most. If you've ever felt your worth ignored, your work stolen, or your dreams dismissed, this story is for you. I'm Victoria Bennett, and I'm here to show you how pain can forge something stronger. Hit that like button if you faced a moment that tested your resolve. Drop your city in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And subscribe to this channel for more revenge stories, where setbacks become setups for comebacks. You're not just watching a video. You're joining a community of people who've turned hurt into hustle. My journey didn't end at that steakhouse table. It began there. I took back what was mine. My vision, my team, my future, and built Phoenix Innovation from the ashes of betrayal. What's waiting for you on the other side of your struggle? Stick with me to find out. We're diving into the roots of my ambition, the years of being overlooked, and the moment I decided to fight back. Not with anger, but with strategy. This is more than a story. It's a blueprint for rising above. Let's go back to the beginning, where a 16-year-old girl with a dream set this all in motion. Bellevue, Seattle in the late 90s. A place where wealth whispered through manicured lawns and grand houses. I was Victoria Bennett, a girl with big dreams in a family where expectations cast long shadows. My father, William Bennett, was a real estate titan, a man who built an empire with ruthless precision and a belief that men belonged at the top. His world was one of boardrooms and golf courses, where deals were sealed with handshakes and women were ornaments. My mother, Margaret, once a promising accountant with a sharp mind, had surrendered her ambitions to become the perfect corporate wife, her laughter fading into quiet agreement with Dad's every word. Then there was Nathan, my brother, 2 years younger, with a smile that could charm anyone. In Dad's eyes, Nathan was the golden child, destined for greatness despite his average grades and half-hearted efforts. I learned early that my achievements came with an asterisk. At 12, I won a math competition, clutching my certificate with pride, only to hear Dad say, "That's nice, Vicky," before turning to Nathan's latest baseball game. "He's got real potential," Dad would beam, as if my trophy was just paper. Nathan's participation awards lined the mantel, while my academic medals gathered dust in a drawer. Family dinners were a ritual of comparison. Dad would recount Nathan's minor triumphs, a C+ in history, a spot on the junior varsity team, as proof of his leadership qualities. My perfect report cards. They were expected, barely acknowledged. Mom would nod, her eyes avoiding mine, as if apologizing without words. I tried to understand why my efforts never measured up, why Nathan's failures were cushioned by praise while my successes were dismissed. Dad's voice echoed in my head. "Business is about presence, Vicky, not just brains." By 15, I realized presence meant something I could never be. A man. But I refused to shrink. That rejection became my fuel, a quiet fire burning beneath every late-night study session, every book I devoured. I wasn't just fighting for grades. I was fighting to be seen. In a house where my worth was measured against my brother's charm, I vowed to build something undeniable. This wasn't about resentment. It was about survival. Every "that's nice" pushed me closer to a dream bigger than Bellevue, bigger than my father's narrow vision. I didn't know then how deep the betrayal would cut, but I knew I'd never let anyone define my value again. At 16, I found my refuge in technology. My bedroom became a workshop, a chaos of circuit boards, wires, and salvaged computer parts. Building my first PC from scraps felt like magic. A puzzle I could solve, a world where rules were fair. The hum of the machine was my rebellion against a house that overlooked me. I'd spend hours tweaking components, losing myself in the logic of circuits. One night, Dad passed my door, glanced at the mess and muttered, "Interesting hobby, Vicky." Hobby. The word stung, reducing my passion to a pastime. That same evening, he spent dinner raving about Nathan's junior varsity football tryout. "He's got grit," Dad said, as if my late nights meant nothing. By 17, I was coding simple programs, teaching myself languages like C++ from library books. My high school guidance counselor saw my perfect GPA and glowing test scores. "MIT would love you," she said, eyes bright. I brought the application home, heart pounding, but Dad shut it down. MIT's expensive, Vicky. A state school's fine for your skills. Yet, when Nathan struggled through high school, private tutors appeared overnight. When his C average landed him at Boston College, Dad found the money without blinking. He needs connections, Mom explained softly, as if that justified the gap. I pieced together scholarships, applied to MIT in secret, and got in. Stepping onto that campus felt like breathing for the first time. MIT was a universe of ideas, where innovation trumped gender or charm. My roommate, Allison, became my confidant, staying up late debating tech trends and market gaps. You don't just understand systems, she told me during a grueling finals week. You see how to make them better. I thrived, diving into computer science and business, my mind racing with possibilities. Every late-night coding session, every breakthrough algorithm, was a step toward proving I belonged. I wasn't just a girl from Bellevue anymore. I was a creator, a problem solver. Dad visited once, unimpressed by the labs and lecture halls. Looks intense, he said, before asking about Nathan's latest college party. I pushed the hurt aside, channeling it into my work. Graduating summa cum laude, I held 2 degrees, my future wide open. But at my graduation dinner, Dad's toast was telling. To Vicky, always studious. Studious, not brilliant, not visionary. The real pride in his eyes was for Nathan's new job, secured through Dad's golf buddies. That moment crystallized my resolve. Technology would be my voice, my way to force the world to see me. Nathan was the shadow I could never outrun. 2 years younger. He coasted through life with a charm I envied and resented. His mediocre grades, his half-hearted projects, were always spun into stories of potential. At 18, he stumbled into Boston College, propped up by Dad's connections, while I clawed my way to MIT with scholarships and sheer will. Family gatherings were a stage for Dad to showcase Nathan's promise. Over Sunday roasts, he'd recount Nathan's latest escapade. A failed business idea, a party where he networked, as if they were triumphs. My science fair wins, my coding projects were afterthoughts. That's nice, Vicky, Dad would say, his eyes already on Nathan. Mom's silence hurt almost as much, her gentle smiles masking her refusal to challenge Dad's bias. I'd lie awake at night, replaying those moments, wondering what I lacked. Was it confidence, charisma, or something I could never have? Dad's approval as his son. One evening at 16, I overheard Dad at a family dinner, his voice warm with pride. Nathan's got charisma you can't teach, he said, laughing about Nathan's C in algebra. My heart sank. I just won a regional coding competition, my algorithm outperforming college students. I clutched my certificate, waiting for my turn. Never came. Instead, Dad moved on to Nathan's next game. The sting of that moment lingered, a wound I carried through every milestone. And I tried to bury it, pouring myself into my studies, but Nathan's shadow followed. When I called home with news of a perfect exam, Mom said, "That's wonderful, dear," before updating me on Nathan's new fraternity role. I'd hang up, staring at my dorm ceiling, the ache of being unseen gnawing at me. My inner voice was relentless. Keep going. Prove them wrong. Build something they can't ignore. But doubt crept in. Was I chasing a validation I'd never get? Allison saw it, pulling me aside one night. "You're not just good, Vicky, you're exceptional. Stop measuring yourself against Nathan's free passes." Her words stuck, a lifeline in my storm. I wasn't fighting Nathan. I was fighting a system that valued his potential over my proof. That realization shifted something deep inside me. I stopped seeking Dad's praise and started building for myself. Every line of code, every late-night study session, became a brick in a foundation no one could take away. Secure Sync would be my answer. Not to Nathan, not to Dad, but to the girl who refused to be invisible. Graduation day at MIT was bittersweet. I stood in my cap and gown, clutching my diplomas, computer science and business, summa cum laude, feeling like I'd conquered a mountain. But at the family dinner that night, Dad's toast told the real story. "To Vicky, always studious," he said, his voice flat. Then, with a grin that lit up the room, "And to Nathan, Vice President of Business Development at Wilmot Construction at 24. That's real promise." Nathan, who'd taken 6 years to scrape through Boston College with a general business degree, beamed. I learned later Dad's golf buddy had handed him the job, complete with a salary that dwarfed my entry-level tech consulting role. The contrast was stark, but I swallowed the hurt. I'd fought too hard to let it stop me. My first job at Prism Technologies was a proving ground. I dove into complex security projects, working late to solve problems others avoided. Each promotion came with a quiet satisfaction, a step closer to my vision. Meanwhile, Nathan cycled through roles at Wilmot, each reorganization a polite cover for his lackluster performance. Dad called it broadening his experience, called it coasting. At 25, I identified a flaw in data transfer security for a banking client, a vulnerability no one else saw. I built a prototype after hours, a solution that was faster, safer, elegant. My manager was floored. "This is revolutionary, Vicky," he said. But corporate politics won. They stuck with established vendors. That rejection lit a spark. I knew my idea could change the industry. I called Allison, now at a VC firm in San Francisco. "No one's listening," I told her, pacing my apartment. "Then make them listen," she said. "Build it yourself." Dad scoffed when I mentioned starting my own company. "Security tech's a man's game, Vicky. Startups fail 90%, maybe more. Stick with Prism's paycheck." Nathan, now on his third role at Wilmot, nodded sagely. "It's about paying dues, sis." Their doubt was familiar, but this time I didn't flinch. At 28, I quit Prism, my savings a 6-month runway. Secure Sync was born in my second bedroom, a whiteboard scrawled with dreams. I named it for what it would do. Synchronize security across platforms, seamlessly, powerfully. The road ahead was brutal, but I was ready. Every dismissal, every "that's nice," had forged me for this. I wasn't just building a company. I was building a legacy, one that would force the world, and my father, to see me. The betrayal was coming, but so was my triumph. Let's see how it began. Fresh out of MIT, I stepped into the world with 2 degrees, computer science and business, summa cum laude, and a fire to prove myself. Prism Technologies, a mid-sized Seattle tech firm, was my first battleground. I was 22, eager to make my mark, diving into their security division with a hunger that surprised even me. The work was intense, analyzing data transfer protocols, fortifying systems for banks and retailers, untangling digital knots no one else wanted to touch. I thrived on it. Every challenge was a chance to show what I could do, to silence the echo of my father's voice calling my dreams a hobby. My colleagues noticed. Late nights at the office, I'd find myself debating encryption with senior engineers, earning nods of respect. My manager, Tom, a grizzled veteran, pulled me aside after my first project. "You're sharp, Vicky," he said. "Keep this up, you'll go far." Those words were oxygen to a girl who'd grown up hearing, "That's nice." By 24, I was leading small teams, my solutions saving clients millions in potential breaches. But the higher I climbed, the clearer the glass ceiling became. Meetings were a parade of suits, mostly men, dismissing my ideas with polite smiles. I'd pitch a new protocol, only to hear, "Interesting, but let's stick with the standard." Standard meant safe, profitable, uninspired. I pushed harder, staying late to build prototypes, proving my concepts worked. At 25, I spotted a flaw in a banking client's data transfer system, a vulnerability that could have cost them billions. I worked weekends, crafting a solution that was faster, safer, elegant. I called it SyncShield, a protocol that synchronized security across platforms seamlessly. I presented it to the executive team, heart pounding, expecting a breakthrough. Tom was floored. "This is revolutionary, Vicky," he said, his voice thick with awe. But the VP of engineering, a man who'd barely read my report, leaned back. "It's untested. We'll go with Veritas's system. They're established." Establish. The word landed like a slap. Veritas's system was clunky, outdated, a patchwork of old code. I argued my case, citing data, performance metrics, client needs. The room went quiet. The VP smiled, patronizing. "You're young, Vicky. You'll learn the game." I walked out, fists clenched, realizing the game was rigged. Corporate politics valued loyalty to vendors over innovation. My idea, my work, was shelved for someone else's profit. That night, I called Allison, my MIT roommate, now at a VC firm in San Francisco. "They're burying it," I said, pacing my apartment. "SyncShield could change everything, but they won't listen." Her voice was steady, fierce. "Then make them listen, Vicky. Build it yourself." The idea terrified me. Startups were a gamble. 90% failed, Dad had warned. But Allison's words lit a spark. I started sketching plans, researching markets, calculating risks. Prism was safe, but safe wasn't enough. I wasn't just fighting for a promotion anymore. I was fighting for a vision. Dad's doubts, Nathan's coasting, the VP's smirk. They all fueled me. I wasn't ready to quit Prism yet, but the seed was planted. SyncShield wasn't just a protocol. It was my way out, my chance to build something undeniable. I didn't know then how high I'd climb, or how far I'd fall. But I knew I couldn't stay in a system that clipped my wings. The world would hear me one way or another. 28, I took the leap. I quit Prism Technologies. My savings a 6-month runway. My second bedroom a makeshift office. Secure Sync was born, a name that captured my vision. Synchronizing security across platforms, making data transfer fast, safe, unbreakable. It wasn't just a company. It was my defiance against every "that's nice." Every door slammed in my face. I started alone, my whiteboard scrawled with dreams, my laptop humming late into the night. The stakes were brutal. Dad's warning echoed. "Startups fail, Vicky, 90%, maybe more." He wasn't wrong. The security tech market was a shark tank, dominated by giants like Veritas and Symantec. Investors laughed at a 28-year-old woman with no business experience. My first pitch to Brunswick Capital was a disaster. The lead VC, a gray-haired man in a tailored suit, cut me off mid-sentence. "This market's crowded," he said, barely glancing at my slides. "What makes you think you can compete?" I laid out SyncShield specs. 50% faster encryption, half the latency, compliance ready. He smirked. "Impressive tech, but you need a seasoned CEO." Seasoned meant male, older, connected. I walked out, heart sinking, but I didn't break. I pitched to dozens more, hearing variations of the same refrain. Too risky, too young, too female. My savings dwindled, credit card debt climbed. I ate instant noodles, skipped meals, poured every dollar into prototypes. Nights blurred into days, doubt creeping in. Was Dad right? Was I chasing a pipe dream? Then came Linda Harris, a tech angel investor Allison introduced. At 50, Linda had seen it all. Dot-com booms, busts, boardroom betrayals. She met me at a cramped coffee shop, her eyes sharp but kind. I pitched with everything I had, my voice steady despite the nerves. Linda didn't interrupt. She asked hard questions: market size, scalability, exit strategy. I answered, data at my fingertips, passion in my words. When I finished, she leaned back, studying me. "You're not just selling tech," she said. "You're selling a vision." I'm in. Her $300,000 check was my lifeline. With it, I hired Marcus Wells, a 36-year-old engineer I'd met at Prism, a coder with a knack for turning chaos into clarity. Marcus became my CO, my rock. We set up in a tiny office above a pizza joint, the smell of marinara seeping through the vents. Our first client was a small credit union, desperate for compliance-ready security. They needed a solution in 3 weeks. An insane deadline. Marcus and I worked 18-hour days, coding, testing, debugging. My apartment was a maze of laptops and takeout boxes. We delivered, the client raving about SyncShield speed. That win led to 2 referrals, then 4 more clients. But growth brought pain. Hiring a team stretched our funds thin. Our first server crashed during a demo, nearly tanking a deal with a regional bank. I fixed it mid-pitch, hands shaking, smiling through the panic. Marcus joked later, "You're half steel, Vicky." But I wasn't invincible. Late nights I'd stare at the ceiling, fear whispering, "What if you run out of money? What if you fail?" Dad's voice was louder now. "Security tech's a man's game." I pushed it down, focusing on the next step. Another client, another milestone. Linda's faith kept me grounded. At our first team meeting, I looked at Marcus and our 5 new hires, their faces tired but fierce. "We're not just a startup," I told them. "We're building the future of trust." They believed me. We believed in each other. Secure Sync was no longer just my dream, it was ours. Every rejection, every all-nighter, was a step towards something bigger. I didn't know then that the real test was coming, that betrayal would strike from the one place I least expected. But in those early days I was unstoppable, forging a path no one could have predicted. Not Dad, not Nathan, not even me. By 2013, Secure Sync was a force. 3 years in, we'd grown from a 2-person operation to a 70-employee company with a $50 million valuation. SyncShield wasn't just a product. It was a revolution, securing data for banks, retailers, and tech startups across the country. Our clients raved about its speed, its seamless compliance, its elegance. We'd outpaced bigger names, stealing contracts from Veritas and Symantec with solutions that worked better, cost less, delivered more. The industry took notice. At TechCon that year, SecureSync won the regional Most Innovative Security Solution Award, a moment I'll carry forever. Standing on that stage, holding the trophy, I felt the weight of every late night, every rejection lift. The crowd's applause was validation, not from Dad, but from a world I'd forced to listen. Linda was there, her nod from the front row saying more than words ever could. That award opened floodgates. Vertex Ventures, a Silicon Valley heavyweight, led a $2 million investment round, followed by $15 million from Blackstone Ventures. The money let us scale. New engineers, a gleaming downtown office, servers that hummed with power. We signed major clients like Meridian Bank, a deal I'd fought for with data-driven pitches and relentless follow-ups. Meridian's CIO told me, "Your system's a game changer, Vicky. We're all in." Those words were sweeter than any family toast. I was 32, leading a team that felt like family. Marcus Misa was my right hand, his calm precision balancing my intensity. Our engineers, our sales reps, our ops team, they weren't just employees. They were believers, pouring their hearts into our mission. We celebrated every win. Late-night pizza parties, whiteboard brainstorming sessions, laughter echoing through the office. I'd walk the floor, seeing my vision alive in their work, and think, this is what I built. But success wasn't flawless. The bigger we got, the more pressure we faced. Competitors spread rumors, hinting we were overvalued, overhyped. A rival startup, backed by Apex Ventures, tried to poach Marcus with a 7-figure offer. He stayed, pulling me aside. "I'm not here for a paycheck," he said. "I'm here for what we're building." His loyalty was a gift I'd never forget. Industry events were a minefield. At a Bay Area tech summit, a panel of male CEOs questioned my leadership. "How do you manage a team so aggressive? one asked, smirking. I smiled back, steel in my voice. I don't manage aggression. I lead innovation. The audience cheered, but the dig lingered, a reminder of the world I navigated. Still, we kept climbing. Trade journals called Secure Sync a unicorn in the making. Analysts praised our AI-driven threat detection, a feature I'd pushed despite early bugs. Clients doubled down, signing multi-year contracts. Every milestone was proof I'd built something undeniable. Yet, deep down, I craved one thing I couldn't admit: Dad's approval. I'd send him articles about Secure Sync, hoping for more than a curt reply. At a family dinner, I shared our TechCon win, my voice tight with pride. Mom clapped, eyes misty. Nathan shrugged, uninterested. Dad nodded, but his focus was elsewhere, on Nathan's latest consulting gig, a vague role at a startup Dad had secured. The dismissal cut deep, but I buried it. Secure Sync wasn't just my company. It was my identity, my proof I was enough. I didn't see the storm coming, the betrayal brewing in boardrooms and family dinners. But in that moment I was on top, unstoppable, ready to reshape the world. Dad's reaction to Secure Sync's rise was a masterclass in indifference. William Bennett, the man who'd built a real estate empire on ruthless ambition, couldn't muster more than a nod for his daughter's $50 million triumph. I'd call him with updates, hoping for a spark of pride, a hint that he saw me as more than studious Vicky. I sent him the TechCon press release. Our logo splashed across industry headlines. His reply was a single line: "Not bad, Vicky. Not bad." We'd outmaneuvered giants, won awards, secured millions in funding. But to Dad it was a footnote. At a rare family dinner in Bellevue, I laid it all out. 70 employees, Meridian's contract, a $50 million valuation. Mom's eyes shone, she squeezed my hand. Nathan, now floundering in his latest startup role, scrolled through comments on his phone, half listening. Dad cut his steak, deliberate before speaking. "That's solid work, Vicky," he said, his voice flat. "But you need seasoned management, someone with boardroom presence to take it public." The implication was clear. Someone like Nathan, not me. He pivoted, turning to Nathan's vague consulting job. "Now Nate's learning the ropes," he said, eyes lighting up. "That's how you build a legacy." I stared at my plate, the familiar ache blooming. Seasoned management. I'd led Secure Sync through chaos, turned skeptics into believers, built a team that outworked the competition. But Dad saw only what I wasn't. A man, a natural leader like Nathan. Pushed back, voice steady. "We're fine, Dad. Our investors trust me." He chuckled, dismissive. "Investors want stability, Vicky. You'll see." That chuckle stayed with me, a warning I didn't yet understand. Dad wasn't just doubting me. He was laying plans, whispering to board members about the future. I didn't know then that he'd orchestrate Nathan's entry into Secure Sync, a move that would unravel everything. But in that moment, his words fueled my resolve. I'd prove him wrong, not with arguments, but with results. Secure Sync was my stage, and I was just getting started. The betrayal was closer than I thought, but so was my counterstrike. By 2014, Secure Sync was my world. A $50 million beacon of innovation, built from my blood, sweat, and unrelenting vision. I was 34, leading a team of 70, steering us through a tech landscape that never slept. We'd outmaneuvered giants, our Sync Shield protocol securing major clients like Meridian Bank. I thought I'd proven myself not just to the industry but to my family. Then came the call that shifted everything. My father, William Bennett, his voice smooth as ever, said, "Vicky, it's time Nathan joined Secure Sync. He's ready to contribute." Nathan, my younger brother, now 32, hadn't held a steady job since his string of cushy roles handed to him by Dad's golf buddies. His latest venture, a vague consulting gig at a startup Dad funded, had fizzled. I hesitated, knowing Nathan's track record: charm over substance, promises over results. But Dad was insistent, his tone carrying that familiar weight. "He's family, Vicky. Give him a chance to shine." Against my better judgment, I agreed, hoping maybe, just maybe, Nathan had grown. I created a role for him: Director of Strategic Partnerships, a title vague enough to limit damage but prestigious enough to satisfy Dad. Nathan walked into Secure Sync's downtown Seattle office like he owned it. His smile wide, his suit crisp. My team, loyal and skeptical, gave him the benefit of the doubt. I introduced him at our Monday meeting, forcing enthusiasm. "Nathan's here to help us expand," I said, praying he'd prove me wrong. He didn't. Within weeks, Nathan's cracks showed. He missed deadlines, his emails vague, his reports riddled with errors. He'd breeze into meetings late, tossing out buzzwords: synergy, leverage, disruption, without grasping SyncShield's tech. Worse, he took credit for others' work. During a pitch to a regional bank, he parroted lines from our sales lead, Sophie Donovan, claiming her strategy as his own. Sophie's jaw tightened, but she stayed professional. I pulled Nathan aside, voice low. "Promote with accuracy, Nathan. This team earns their wins." He shrugged, smirking. "Relax, Vicky. It's just business." That smirk grated, a reminder of every family dinner where his failures were spun into potential. His biggest blunder came with Meridian Bank, one of our flagship clients. They needed a compliance audit by month's end, a critical deliverable. Nathan, tasked with coordinating, dropped the ball. He misfiled documents, ignored emails, left our compliance team scrambling. I stepped in, working nights with Marcus, our CEO, to salvage it. We met the deadline, but Meridian's CEO called me, concerned. "Your brother's involvement worries us, Vicky," he said. "We trust you, not him." I apologized, my stomach churning. Nathan's carelessness threatened everything I'd built. I confronted him in my office, calm but firm. "This isn't a game, Nathan. Our clients depend on us." He leaned back, unfazed. "You're too intense, Vicky. I'm building relationships. That's my value. Relationships." He'd spent more time at happy hours than in the office. I wanted to fire him, but Dad's voice loomed. "He's family." The board, too, had Dad's fingerprints. His old business allies, whispering about stability for an IPO. I sensed a shift, a subtle chill in their emails. Nathan wasn't just a problem. He was a pawn in a larger plan I couldn't yet see. Late one night, Marcus found me staring at revenue charts. "He's dragging us down, Vicky," he said, blunt as ever. "What's your call?" I didn't have one, not yet. Family ties tangled my logic, that old hope for Dad's approval clouding my judgment. I'd built Secure Sync to be untouchable, but Nathan's presence was a crack in the foundation. I didn't know how deep it ran, or how soon it would shatter. But the storm was coming, and I was about to learn the cost of trust. The betrayal crystallized at a family dinner in April 2014, at Cascade Grill, a polished steakhouse overlooking Seattle's waterfront. I was 34, riding the high of Secure Sync's success, naive enough to think my achievements might finally earn my father's respect. The invitation came from Dad, William Bennett, his voice warm, almost proud. "Let's celebrate Secure Sync's progress, Vicky," he said. "Bring your game face." I arrived in a tailored blazer, my guard down, expecting a rare moment of unity. Mom, Margaret, was there, her smile fragile, her eyes darting between us. Nathan, 32, lounged in his chair, his usual smirk sharper than I remembered. Dad, at the head of the table, radiated confidence, his silver hair catching the chandelier's glow. The evening started innocently enough. Dad raised his glass of Bordeaux, toasting, "To Secure Sync, a company with potential." I smiled, sipping my wine, waiting for the rest. He asked about our growth, our $50 million valuation, our TechCon award. I answered, voice steady, detailing Meridian Bank's contract, our AI-driven features, the $15 million from Blackstone Ventures. Mom nodded, her pride quiet but real. Nathan scrolled on his phone, barely engaged. Dad listened, his eyes unreadable, cutting his ribeye with precision. Then the air shifted. Dad leaned back, swirling his wine. His smile calculated. Secure Sync's ready for the next step, he said. An IPO. Big leagues, Vicky. My heart quickened. An IPO was our horizon, a goal I discussed with Marcus and Linda Harris, our angel investor. I nodded, ready to share my plan. But Dad wasn't done. He raised his glass again, his voice booming. To Secure Sync's future, and to Nathan, our new CEO. The words hit like a freight train. My glass froze mid-air, wine sloshing. Nathan, CEO. My brother, who'd missed deadlines, botched client work, taken credit for my team's efforts. I stared at Dad, searching for a joke, a misunderstanding. His smile didn't waver, cold and deliberate. Nathan leaned forward, his smirk now a grin. Mom's eyes dropped to her plate, her hands twisting her napkin. The restaurant's hum faded, my pulse loud in my ears. I found my voice, sharp but controlled. You're staging a coup, Dad. Against your own daughter. Dad's chuckle was low, patronizing. It's not a coup, Vicky. It's business. Nathan has the presence, the relationships to lead an IPO. You're brilliant, but you're technical. The board agrees. The board. His allies, men he'd golfed with for decades, men who'd called me feisty in meetings. They'd planned this, whispering behind my back while I built their potential into profit. I turned to Nathan, my voice ice. You've been here 6 months, Nathan. You've missed deadlines, lost client trust. What qualifies you? He shrugged, unfazed. The board needs steady leadership, Vicky, not emotional reactions. I'm the face they want. Emotional. I'd led Secure Sync through chaos, turned skeptics into believers, delivered results no one else could. But to them I was emotional, a woman unfit for the spotlight. Dad cut in, his tone final. This is for the company's future, Vicky. You'll stay on as CTO. Keep doing what you do best. Theo. A demotion dressed as a compromise, stripping me of my vision, my legacy. I pushed back, my voice rising. I built Secure Sync. Every patent, every client, every line of code, it's mine. You can't just hand it to someone who's never earned it. Dad's eyes narrowed, his voice low. It's about qualifications, not gender. Don't make this personal. Personal. He'd made it personal, choosing Nathan's charm over my proof, orchestrating a takeover with the son he'd always favored. Nathan added, smooth as ever. Relax, Vicky. Or family. We'll make it work. Family. The word twisted like a knife. I looked at Mom, hoping for an ally. She met my gaze, eyes wet, but said nothing. The silence was louder than any argument. I stood, my chair scraping, my voice steady despite the rage. You've underestimated me. Both of you. I walked out, the weight of their betrayal sinking in. They thought I'd stay, play the loyal daughter. They were wrong. The dinner wasn't a celebration. It was an ambush, and I'd just been blindsided. I left Cascade Grill in a daze, the Seattle rain blurring my vision as I climbed into my car. The betrayal burned, a white-hot pain that threatened to consume me. My father, William Bennett, had handed my life's work, Secure Sync, my $50 million empire, to Nathan, a man who'd coasted on charm while I bled for every milestone. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles pale, and screamed, a raw, primal sound that echoed in the empty car. Tears came, hot and unstoppable, but I let them fall. I wasn't weak, I was human, and they'd just ripped my heart out. But I wouldn't let them win. I sat there, rain pounding the windshield, whispering to myself, they don't get to take this. That dinner wasn't the end. It was the beginning of my fight. I drove home, my mind racing, replaying every word, every smirk. Dad's calculated smile, Nathan's smug grin, Mom's silence. They all cut deeper than I'd imagined. But beneath the pain, a clarity emerged. They'd underestimated me, counting on family ties to keep me compliant. They didn't know the woman I'd become. I called Linda Harris, our angel investor, at midnight, my voice shaking but resolute. They're taking Secure Sync, I said, pacing my apartment. Dad and Nathan with the board. They want Nathan as CEO. Linda's response was instant, fierce. They're fools, Vicky. But you're not. Protect your assets, then build anew. The word sparked a plan. I hung up, pulling out legal pads, contracts, patent files. At 4 a.m. I met Sarah Brooks, my attorney, at her downtown office, coffee in hand, eyes red but sharp. Sarah, a 40-year-old powerhouse who'd navigated corporate traps before, flipped through my documents. Your patents, she said, tapping a page. They're in your name, not Secure Sync's. That's your leverage. And the client agreements. Most name you as the trusted deliverable. I exhaled, a flicker of hope igniting. SyncShield, the core of Secure Sync, was mine. Every algorithm, every innovation. Major clients like Meridian Bank required my involvement, their contracts tied to my expertise. Dad and Nathan hadn't done their homework. They thought a title was power. I knew better. Next, I met Marcus Wells, myself, at a diner, away from office ears. Marcus, 36, was more than a colleague. He was family, loyal through every crisis. I laid it all out. The dinner, the coup, Dad's plan. His face hardened, but his voice was calm. They're betting on you staying quiet, he said. What's our move? That word steadied me. I told him about the patents, the contracts, my half-formed plan. I'm not staying, I said. But I won't do this alone. Marcus didn't hesitate. I'm with you, Vicky. So are Sophie and Amelia. Sophie Donovan, our CFO, and Amelia Fletcher, our VP of Strategy. Both brilliant, both fiercely loyal, met me that evening. Over coffee we mapped it out. The board meeting was in a week. Their chance to formalize Nathan's takeover. I'd use it not to fight, but to walk away on my terms. They think they've won, I said, my voice low. Let them. We'll take what's mine. Patents, clients, us, and start over. Sophie nodded, her eyes fierce. They'll regret this. Amelia, scribbling notes, added. Phoenix Innovation. That's our name. Phoenix. Felt right, a rebirth from ashes. I spent days preparing, every detail meticulous. I reviewed contracts, drafted resignation letters, secured client trust. Meridian Sue called, sensing trouble. We signed with you, Vicky, he said. Not a logo. Where you go, we go. His words were fuel. I reached out to Linda, who promised seed funding for Phoenix. You're the value, she said. They'll learn that the hard way. Alone, I faced the mirror, practicing my words for the boardroom. I saw the girl who'd built her first PC, the woman who'd defied Silicon Valley's sharks. This wasn't revenge. It was justice. I wasn't running, I was rising. The board, Dad, Nathan, they'd see it soon. My plan wasn't just survival. It was a declaration. No one could take what I'd earned. The dinner had broken something, but it had forged something stronger. I was ready to burn it all down and build anew. The dinner at Cascade Grill had shattered my world, but it hadn't broken me. I was Victoria Bennett, 34, and I'd built Secure Sync, a $50 million empire, from nothing. My father, William, and my brother, Nathan, thought they could strip it away, hand it to Nathan as CEO, and expect me to stay quiet. They were wrong. That night, driving through Seattle's rain, I vowed to fight back, Not with anger, but with strategy. The betrayal lit a fire, and I was ready to turn their game against them. My first call was to Linda Harris, the angel investor who'd believed in me when no one else did. It was midnight, my voice raw from screaming in my car. "They're taking Secure Sync," I told her, pacing my apartment. "Dad and Nathan with the board. They want him as CEO." Linda's response was steel. "They're betting on your loyalty, Vicky. Don't give it to them. Protect your assets, then build something new." The word was a lifeline. I hung up, pulling out every document I had. Patent filings, client contracts, board minutes. By 3 a.m., I was at the office of Sarah Brooks, my attorney, a 40-year-old legal shark who'd seen her share of corporate coups. Her office was dark, lit only by a desk lamp, but her eyes were sharp. I handed her the stack of papers, my hands steady despite the exhaustion. "They think they can replace me," I said. "Tell me they're wrong." Sarah scanned the documents, her pen tapping. Then she smiled, a rare crack in her armor. "Your patents, Vicky, SyncShield, the AI modules, the core algorithms. They're in your name, not Secure Syncs. That's your trump card." My heart leapt. Every line of code, every breakthrough was legally mine. Sarah kept going. "Your client contracts. Most name you as the key deliverable. Meridian Bank, Horizon Retail. They signed for your expertise, not just the logo." I exhaled, the weight of the dinner lifting slightly. Dad and Nathan hadn't done their homework. They thought a board vote could erase me. They didn't understand. I was Secure Sync's soul. Next, I needed my team. Marcus Wells, MISA, was first. We met at a diner at dawn, the smell of burnt coffee heavy in the air. Marcus, 36, was more than a colleague. He was my anchor, loyal through every crisis. I told him everything. The dinner, Nathan's smug grin, Dad's calculated smile. His jaw tightened, but his voice was calm. "They're playing dirty," he said. "What's our move?" That word gave me strength. I laid out the patents, the contracts, my half-formed plan. "I'm not staying," I said. "But I can't do this alone." Marcus didn't flinch. "I'm in, Vicky. Let's talk to Sophie and Amelia." Sophie Donovan, our 38-year-old CFO, and Amelia Fletcher, our 35-year-old VP of Strategy, met me that evening in a quiet bar. They were brilliant, fierce, and fiercely loyal. Over whiskey, I shared the betrayal, my voice low but steady. "They think they've won," I said. "But we hold the cards, patents, clients, us. I want to start over. Phoenix Innovation." Sophie's eyes blazed. "They'll regret this," she said. Amelia nodded, already sketching ideas. "Phoenix. Like it. From ashes to empire." We spent days planning, every detail meticulous. I called key clients, testing their loyalty. Meridian's CIO was blunt. "We trust you, Vicky, not Nathan. If you leave, we're with you." Horizon Retail echoed the same. Linda promised seed funding for Phoenix, her faith unwavering. Sarah drafted my resignation, a document that would hit like a grenade. I reviewed every patent, every contract, ensuring nothing could be contested. Late nights I'd stare at my laptop, doubt creeping in. What if I failed? What if they outmaneuvered me? But then I'd remember Nathan's smirk, Dad's chuckle, and the fire would return. This wasn't just about saving my work. It was about proving no one could take what I'd earned. By the board meeting I was ready, my plan airtight, my team behind me. They thought they'd caged me. They were about to learn I was a phoenix, ready to rise. The board meeting was set for a Monday morning in Secure Sync's sleek Seattle conference room, a space I designed to reflect our vision. Open, innovative, unstoppable. I was 34, Victoria Bennett, the woman who'd built this $50 million company from a dream. Now my father, William, and my brother, Nathan, thought they could steal it, crowning Nathan CEO to lead an IPO. They expected me to stay, demoted to CTO, a loyal daughter playing their game. They didn't know I'd spent a week forging a counterstrike. I walked into that room, my heels clicking on the polished floor, my face a mask of calm. Inside, my heart raced, but I was ready. The board was there. 6 men, Dad's old allies, their faces smug, and 2 women, their eyes cautious. Nathan sat at the head, his suit ill-fitting, his grin too wide. Dad stood by the window, his silver hair catching the light, his presence commanding. Marcus, Sophie, and Amelia were with me, their loyalty a shield. The chairman, Richard Holt, a 60-year-old real estate crony of Dad's, opened the meeting. "We're here to discuss Secure Sync's future," he said, his voice smooth. "An IPO requires strong leadership. We propose Nathan Bennett as CEO, with Victoria transitioning to CTO." The room nodded, a rehearsed performance. I let them talk, their words washing over me. Stability, presence, investor confidence. Nathan leaned forward, parroting buzzwords he'd heard me use. "I'm ready to scale us," he said, mangling SyncShield's tech. "We'll leverage synergies, disrupt markets." The board clapped, oblivious to his ignorance. Dad watched, his smile tight, expecting my surrender. I stood, my voice clear, cutting through their noise. "Before you vote, hear me out." Richard frowned but nodded. I looked at each face, my gaze steady. Secure Sync is what it is because of my work. Every patent, SyncShield, the AI modules, the core algorithms, is in my name. Every major client, Meridian, Horizon, Cascade, signed for my expertise, not your logo. Without me, you have nothing. The room stilled, their confidence cracking. Richard shifted, uneasy. "You're under contract, Victoria," he said. I smiled, cold and sharp. "Check again. My patents are personal property. Client agreements name me as the deliverable. I'm not bound to stay." Nathan's grin faltered. Dad's eyes narrowed, but he stayed silent. Kept going, my voice steel. "You thought you could replace me with someone who's missed deadlines, lost client trust, and doesn't understand our tech. You're betting on a name, not a leader." I turned to Nathan. "You're not Secure Sync's future. You're its liability." The board erupted, voices overlapping. Legal threats, accusations, panic. Richard pounded the table. "This is insubordination." I didn't flinch. "No, it's reality. I built this company. You don't get to take it." I pulled out my resignation letter, sliding it across the table. "Effective immediately, I'm leaving. And I'm taking my patents, my clients, and my team." Marcus, Sophie, and Amelia stood, their faces fierce. "We're with her," Marcus said, his voice calm but final. The board froze, realizing their misstep. Dad spoke at last, his voice low, dangerous. "You're making a mistake, Vicky. Family doesn't do this." I met his gaze, unyielding. "You made it family when you chose Nathan over me. This is business." Nathan stammered. "You can't just walk away." I turned to him, my voice ice. "Watch me." We left, the door closing on their chaos. Outside, Sophie squeezed my hand. "That was epic," she whispered. Marcus nodded, a rare smile breaking through. They didn't see it coming. Amelia was already on her phone, rallying clients. I felt lighter, the weight of betrayal lifting. I'd walked away, but I hadn't lost. I'd taken everything that mattered, my work, my team, my future. The board thought they'd won, but they'd just handed me freedom. Phoenix Innovation was next, a company born from their mistake. They'd underestimated me, and they'd pay for it. Not with revenge, but with my success. The meeting wasn't my defeat. It was my declaration. I was no longer William's daughter or Nathan's sister. I was Victoria Bennett, and I was unstoppable. The board meeting was my emancipation, but the real work began the next day. I was Victoria Bennett, 34, and I just walked away from Secure Sync, the $50 million company I'd built, taking my patents, my team, and my clients with me. My father, William, and my brother, Nathan, thought they'd caged me, but I was free, ready to rise from the ashes as Phoenix Innovation. The name wasn't just a symbol, it was a promise. I started in a rented office in Seattle's Pioneer Square, a raw space with exposed brick and a view of the waterfront. Marcus Wells, Sophie Donovan, and Amelia Fletcher were with me, our desks pushed together, laptops humming. Linda Harris, our angel investor, wired $500,000 to get us off the ground. "You're the value, Vicky," she said. "Show them." We did. Our first call was to Meridian Bank. Their CIO, James Carter, didn't hesitate. "We signed for you, Vicky, not Secure Sync," he said. "We're in." Horizon Retail and Cascade Tech followed, their contracts tied to my expertise. Within a week, we'd secured 60% of Secure Sync's revenue stream. Clients weren't loyal to a logo. They were loyal to me, to the woman who delivered solutions no one else could. Phoenix Innovation wasn't just a startup. It was a revolution built on trust and proof. We worked like we had something to prove because we did. Marcus and I coded late, refining SyncShield for new platforms. Sophie balanced our books, stretching every dollar. Amelia pitched clients, her presentations sharp, relentless. We ate takeout, laughed through exhaustion, and built a culture fiercer than Secure Sync's ever was. The industry buzzed. Tech blogs ran headlines. Secure Sync founder exits, takes clients. Analysts predicted trouble for Secure Sync, their valuation plummeting as Nathan floundered. He called a press conference, fumbling through buzzwords, unable to explain SyncShield's tech. Clients bailed, investors pulled back. Secure Sync lost 60% of its revenue in a month, its IPO dreams crumbling. I didn't gloat, I was too busy building. Phoenix landed a $10 million Series A from Vertex Ventures, the same firm that had backed Secure Sync. Their lead partner, Ellen Chen, met me in San Francisco. "You're not just a founder," she said. "You're a movement." That funding let us hire 20 engineers, lease a bigger office, and launch a new AI-driven threat detection tool. Clients raved, our growth outpacing Secure Sync's peak. By 2015, Phoenix was valued at $75 million, a unicorn in the making. The fallout for Secure Sync was brutal. Nathan, unprepared for leadership, clashed with the board. Dad's allies, once smug, scrambled to salvage their investment. A rival firm bought Secure Sync for a fraction of its peak value, a fire sale that erased Dad's legacy. Nathan was pushed out. His CEO stint a footnote. I heard he'd moved to Portland, chasing another vague startup role. I didn't care. My focus was Phoenix, my team, my vision. Dad called once, his voice strained. "You've made your point, Vicky," he said. I didn't answer. His point had been made at Cascade Grill, when he chose Nathan over me. This wasn't revenge. It was justice. I met with clients speaking their language, solving their problems. At a tech summit, I keynote, sharing Phoenix's story. The crowd stood, their applause a validation louder than any family toast. Back in Seattle, I walked Phoenix's office, seeing my team's passion, our logo, a blazing phoenix, on every screen. I'd lost Secure Sync, but I'd gained something greater, clarity. I didn't need Dad's approval, Nathan's validation, or a board's permission. I was enough. Phoenix wasn't just a company. It was proof that betrayal could forge something stronger. The consequences of my exit rippled. Competitors studied us, analysts praised us, young women emailed me, inspired. I started a mentorship program, guiding coders who reminded me of the 16-year-old girl building her first PC. Secure Sync's collapse was their lesson. Underestimate talent at your peril. My counterstrike wasn't about destruction, it was about creation. Phoenix was my answer, a legacy no one could take. The ashes of betrayal had birthed something unstoppable, and I was just getting started. Phoenix Innovation was my rebirth, a company forged in the ashes of betrayal. I was Victoria Bennett, 35, and by 2016, I'd turned a fledgling startup into a $100 million powerhouse. From our Pioneer Square office in Seattle, with its exposed brick and waterfront views, we outshone SecureSync's peak. My team, Marcus Wells, Sophie Donovan, and Amelia Fletcher, was my strength. Marcus, our CEO, kept our tech razor sharp, refining SyncShield for global markets. Sophie, our CFO, stretched every dollar, securing a $20 million Series B from Vertex Ventures. Amelia, our VP of Strategy, landed clients like Pacific Trust and Orion Tech, their contracts doubling our revenue. We weren't just a company, we were a movement. Clients flocked to us, drawn by my expertise and our reputation for trust. Meridian Bank's CIO, James Carter, told me, "You're not selling software, Vicky. You're selling security we believe in." That belief fueled us. We launched Phoenix Guard, an AI-driven cybersecurity suite, at TechCon 2016, winning Global Innovation Leader. Standing on that stage, trophy in hand, I felt the weight of every late night, every rejection dissolve. The crowd's roar was louder than any boardroom dismissal. Phoenix's culture was electric. Whiteboard brainstorming, late-night pizza, laughter through deadlines. I walked our office, seeing my vision alive in every coder, every pitch. We hired 50 more young talent who reminded me of the 16-year-old girl building her first PC. I mentored them, sharing lessons from my scars. The industry watched, stunned. Tech journals called Phoenix a unicorn. Analysts praised our growth. Competitors tried to mimic us, but they couldn't match our soul. SecureSync, under Nathan's floundering leadership, was a ghost. Sold for pennies in 2015, its IPO dreams dead. It was a cautionary tale. I didn't gloat, I was too busy building. At a San Francisco summit, I keynote, sharing Phoenix's story. "Betrayal doesn't define you," I said. "What you build next does." The standing ovation echoed in my chest, a validation not from family, but from a world I'd forced to listen. Phoenix wasn't just success, it was proof. Every contract, every hire, every line of code was mine, earned through grit no one could take. I'd lost SecureSync, but I'd gained clarity. My worth wasn't tied to Dad's approval or Nathan's shadow. Phoenix was my legacy, a beacon for anyone who'd been underestimated. We were just beginning, our sights on global markets, new tech, new dreams. The girl who'd once sought a nod from her father now led an empire, and I wasn't slowing down. The rise of Phoenix didn't erase the scars of betrayal, but it gave me perspective. In 2017, I was 36, and a call from my mother, Margaret, broke the silence. "Your father wants to talk, Vicky," she said, her voice soft, hesitant. I paused, the ache of that Cascade Grill dinner still raw. William Bennett had chosen Nathan over me, orchestrated a coup to steal SecureSync. But I wasn't that wounded daughter anymore. I agreed to meet, not for him but for closure. We sat at a quiet Bellevue cafe, Dad's silver hair thinner, his eyes tired. Mom was there, her hands clasped, hopeful. Nathan wasn't invited. He'd faded to Portland, chasing another vague startup. Dad cleared his throat, his voice low. "Phoenix is impressive, Vicky," he said. I didn't see it coming. I waited, expecting a but. None came. Instead, he looked down, his fingers tracing the coffee cup. "I was wrong," he said, the words heavy. "About Nathan, about you. I thought presence mattered more than proof. I failed you." The admission stunned me. The man who'd built a real estate empire on certainty was admitting fault. I wanted to lash out, to list every slight, every "that's nice." But I saw Mom's eyes, wet with relief, and something in me softened. "It hurt," I said, my voice steady. "You chose a son who coasted over a daughter who built. But I didn't need your faith to succeed." Dad nodded, his face tight. I see that now. Phoenix, it's yours, all yours. Mom reached for my hand, her touch warm. We're proud, Vicky, she said. We should have said it sooner. The words were late, but they landed. I didn't forgive fully. Some wounds don't heal clean, but I let go of the anger. I'm not doing this for you, I told them. I'm doing it for me. Dad met my gaze, a flicker of respect there. I know, he said. We parted quietly, no grand promises, just a door cracked open. I drove home, the Seattle skyline glowing, feeling lighter. Phoenix had freed me from needing their validation. This wasn't reconciliation, it was peace on my terms. I'd built my empire without them, and that was enough. Phoenix Innovation was my answer to betrayal, a $100 million testament to what I could build when no one believed in me. I was Victoria Bennett, 36, and my journey, from Secure Sync's fall to Phoenix's rise, taught me truths I'll carry forever. First, your worth isn't defined by others' approval. My father, William, and brother, Nathan, saw me as less, but I proved them wrong, not with words, but with work. Second, betrayal can forge strength. Losing Secure Sync broke my heart, but it built Phoenix, a company fiercer, truer, mine. Finally, loyalty to your team, your vision, outweighs titles or blood. Marcus, Sophie, Amelia, and Linda Harris stood by me, and together we reshaped an industry. To anyone listening, know this. When they underestimate you, don't fight their game. Build your own. I walked away from a $50 million company, taking my patents, my clients, my soul, and created something greater. Phoenix isn't just a company. It's a movement, inspiring coders, dreamers, those told they're not enough. I mentor them now, seeing my younger self in their eyes, urging them to rise. The Seattle skyline stretches before me, Phoenix's logo glowing on our office tower. I don't need a family toast or a board's nod. I've earned my place, and I'm not done. Betrayal was my spark, but creation is my fire. This is my story, but it's yours too. Build, rise, never let them define you. The world's waiting, and you're unstoppable. My name is Victoria Bennett, and this is my story, a journey from betrayal to triumph. At 36, I stand atop Phoenix Innovation, a $100 million empire I built after losing Secure Sync, the company I'd grown to $50 million. My father, William, and brother, Nathan, thought they could take it, handing it to Nathan as CEO. Their betrayal cut deep, but it forged me. I learned 3 truths. First, your value isn't in others' eyes. Dad saw Nathan's charm, not my proof, but I didn't need his nod to shine. Second, pain can fuel creation. Losing Secure Sync broke me, but from its ashes I built Phoenix. Fiercer, truer, mine. Third, loyalty matters more than blood. Marcus, Sophie, Amelia, and Linda Harris stood by me, their trust my foundation. I walked away, taking my patents, my clients, my soul, and turned betrayal into a beacon. Phoenix isn't just a company. It's a testament to what's possible when you refuse to be defined by doubt. I mentor young coders now, seeing my younger self in their drive, urging them to build, to rise. My journey taught me, no one can take what you've earned unless you let them. I didn't just survive. I thrived, proving my worth to the world and to myself. This story isn't about revenge. It's about redemption, about turning scars into stars. Whatever your battle, know you're enough. The world waits for your fire. You've heard my story. How I built Secure Sync, lost it to betrayal, and rose with Phoenix Innovation. I'm Victoria Bennett, and I'm not done. Neither are you. If you're facing doubt, betrayal, or a world that says you're not enough, don't fight their game. Build your own. Start today. Write that code, pitch that idea, take that step. Your fire is waiting, and Phoenix proves it can burn bright. Join our movement. Subscribe to this channel for more stories of triumph, where underdogs turn pain into power. Share your own story in the comments. I read everyone. Want to learn how I built Phoenix from ashes? Click the link from my mentorship program where I guide dreamers like you to rise. Next week, we're back with another tale. A coder who hacked her way from a dead-end job to a $200 million startup, only to face a rival's sabotage. Will she crumble or rewrite the game? You don't want to miss it. Hit that bell icon to stay in the loop. Phoenix Innovation isn't just my victory. It's a call to every coder, every builder, every soul told no. We don't beg for seats at their table, we build our own. My team and I are working on something big, new tech, new dreams, global impact. Stay tuned for a sneak peek. Your support fuels us, so like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and let's keep rising together. The world's watching and you're unstoppable. Let's build something they can't ignore. See you next time. Only to face a rival's sabotage. Will she crumble or rewrite the game? You don't want to miss it. Hit that bell icon to stay in the loop. Phoenix Innovation isn't just my victory. It's a call to every coder, every builder, every soul told no. We don't beg for seats at their table, we build our own. My team and I are working on something big, new tech, new dreams, global impact. Stay tuned for a sneak peek. Your support fuels us, so like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and let's keep rising together. The world's watching and you're unstoppable. Let's build something they can't ignore. See you next time.